What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode 444, which is what we just learned is called a rep digit. For those that didn't know, you're welcome. My name is Steve, one of the co-hosts of the show, and as always, I'm joined by
Ron.
Or a monodigit.
Or a monodigit.
Or a
I think
monodigit.
rep digit sounds better, but it just sounds like, I don't know, like repetitive digit. But I get the monodigit thing. It's like a digit by its,
Yeah. I mean, I'm team monodigit.
There's a place for both.
No, it's, I was about to say, it's really good. If you're a new listener to the show, you can see that we have rep digit representation as well as monodigit representation on the show.
Rep digit.
I'm also John.
Do-do-do.
By the way, also, people don't know in the pre-roll, I guess that's what we call the area of our conversation before we officially start the show. We've been talking about jingles, and I think it's great that you guys just made another rep digit jingle. This one was rep digit. Do.
We like options on this show as well.
No, we do.
And,
You gotta have a grungy voiced man, soulful man that goes,
Rep digit.
rep digit. You know, rep digits are several.
Hey, what's a rep digit?
So, what's an example of a rep digit? 444. I've seen that before.
was it before the 4 or after the 4? It was both.
555. You're lucky to be alive. But yes, folks, a rep digit is anytime you've got a digit. I guess it could be anything, a 2-digit number as well as a 5 or 6-digit number. But it's just where every digit in the number is the same digit. A monodigit, if you will.
So confusing, but take your pick.
Yeah.
But yeah, welcome to new episode. We had a little week off, little time between, but we did have a required viewing selection. They look like people. That was my pick from 2 weeks ago. And then Ronald's got some Let's Get Physical coming up, guys. You're not going to want to miss this. He's got a review of a title that is on Blu-ray or digital and Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But the physical part is the Blu-ray part, the 4K.
I think we might have a giveaway. I think this might be the first time. I think I'm going to do
Oh, you're going to give it away?
a digital give. Not the.
Would you give it away? Give it away now?
Yeah.
I got you,
I think
John.
I'll give it away. Give it away. Now.
I got you covered, John.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome, pal.
Now, I'm not going to give away the physical.
Viewers, isolate the moment where I realized there was an opportunity to do a Red Hot Chili Peppers joke. And also see, in a way, how I was relieved that Steve got to it.
I felt so good that you noticed that I was going there, and you're like, oh, yeah. We are there. This tripod is very strong.
Yes, we're relaxed. This is a very nice, loosey-goosey energy.
Yeah, you said giveaway. You're going to give something away, Ronald?
So, I guess maybe we can have like a question or something in the end, and then I'll give away a digital copy of Flight Risk next week. I'll say what the winner is.
What we could do is we could have a trivia question to tell if somebody listened to this part of the episode or came in late and just say, what is the name for a number or the digit?
That's a good one.
Digit.
I would even say, what is the name and like name one of the names and say which one of us liked it. Likes that name better.
Yeah. And if you put your answer in the comments first, you'll get a digital copy. I'll send you a message.
This is a YouTube. This is a YouTube exclusive. Yeah.
Or is it a YouTube? Should I make a YouTube?
Well, you're saying in the comments. Where's the comments?
Well, they can also email. Shit. Which one should we do? Should we do both?
I say we drive from the YouTube. I say come find us on YouTube. If you want this hot title. Come to the YouTube channel.
Put in the
You
YouTube
could be a
comments.
listener and then hop on YouTube. I think if I was listening to a podcast, the idea of going to YouTube and leaving a comment is no easier or harder than sending a fucking email at this point.
Or we say go to YouTube and watch it, and we're gonna hold up numbers on one hand and tell us if it is or is not the two terms that we started at the top of the episode with.
All right.
I love how now none of us know really what's going on
at all. But that is perfect.
This is clear as mud. I want to say, Ronald, the giveaway, I was just thinking about this too. It'd be nice to start doing giveaways. And then I realized, okay, My big giveaway is this show. We give it to you every time we do one. We give it away every
Yeah,
time.
we
I
So
like
do.
what you did there.
We
yeah.
do. We do
So
give it away.
fucking appreciate it. That's
Yeah.
my
Oh,
giveaway.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
For sure. Um.
But no, so let's straighten out those rules. People should contact you where and say what? People should name one of the names for
Yes.
a number that's all the same number,
Hmm.
and say which one of us, me or Steve, likes that term the best.
Yes. And
And
put
where
that
should
in
they
the
send
comments.
this information?
They should
On
definitely put that
YouTube
in the
comments.
comments of the YouTube.
Okay,
Yes.
for this episode.
For this episode. Yeah. Episode
I like it. I
444.
like it.
And not here's the most important part. Not the audio version that's on YouTube, the video version that's on YouTube. Both of those
Oh,
are up there.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
important. Yeah.
If you do the audio version, you should just leave comments about how nicely I mix the audio.
Yeah. Yeah. You do a great job.
Yeah, that's the only thing you should say there. Um, well, cool. No, I like this. I've always thought we should do more of this kind of any podcast I've done. I have this idea of like, oh, and then I'll have a giveaway, a contest, and we'll send the comic that I just talked about on this podcast to somebody. And it's like, it never, it never really. It always seems like this exact thing we just talked through. It's the hurdle
Yes.
of like, wait, what is the content? Like, how are people gonna? So this is a real test. If we get so much as one entry, I'm calling this a successful giveaway.
Huge
Yeah.
win.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna put giveaway in on the graphic of the show, like in big words.
Now that we've got that figured out, 10 minutes
Big
later,
words.
Yeah.
this is how we do this, guys. We talk this through on the show.
Oh
Well,
yeah, for sure.
what's
How we
cool is
roll
that
it.
as I mentioned before the show, we had a fun conversation about jingles that might have been entertaining to listen to. But no, we waited. We did that before the show, and then on the show, we had a meeting about a contest.
Seems perfectly logical to me.
Sure
Checks out very
enough.
well.
Cool. So required viewing.
Yeah, required viewing. Yeah, I went with a pick that again I mentioned on our last episode that's kind of popped up in and around, little hidden gem lists or movies you've never heard of. Filmmakers talking about it. Specifically, Mike Flanagan had talked about a film called "They Look Like People" a few times. I heard him talk about it on a podcast. I saw it on some lists that he released, specifically during the early days of the pandemic when everybody's like watching stuff at home and looking for stuff to watch. He had a at-home horror must-watch kind of thing, and it kind of it's always around, it's floating, and I just found, I was like, yeah, this is the time to watch. It's been on my watch list on my Plex and on my IMDb forever. But yeah, this is a movie, came out in 2015, very small budget, very indie, relatively small cast. It's kind of like a bit of a contained horror mystery drama thriller. I don't know which one do you think it falls in most. But I think I read the synopsis last time. But once again, if you didn't watch along before we get into it, a troubled man suspects people around him are turning into evil creatures and wonders if he should protect his only friend from an impending war or from himself. So yeah, they look like people. What you guys? I think I've asked you last episode, but did you know about this movie? Had either of you heard it? I think Ronald, you hadn't, but
I haven't heard
John,
of it.
you
No.
may had seen it somewhere.
I had heard of it, and because the name stuck in my mind, I
Right,
remember,
right.
and it's possible I may have even seen some of that, the Mike Flanagan aspect
Yeah.
of it. I may have seen people sharing his list or something like that, but that was about as far as I knew.
Cool.
And it's definitely one of those names. I mean, I love that kind of pulpy kind of name. So I
Yeah.
think that definitely was catchy. Ronald?
I mean, no, I knew
nothing.
no knowledge of it. No,
So with
love the
zero
name.
knowledge of it going into it, what did you think of it?
Slow burn. It felt a lot like Donnie Darko, which is one of my favorite movies.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah,
I
I was
gotta
like,
say,
this-
there was a bit of a parallel there.
Yeah,
I
the
thought.
voice that he was hearing and some of the paranoia and what the voice was telling him to do,
Mhm.
and not knowing what was real and what wasn't. It really felt like a more grounded version of Donnie Darko. Like even though it wasn't grounded at all, like he was going nuts. I think I was expecting more of a traditional horror in that way,
Yeah.
but it is a psychological thriller more than anything. But the tension really did build. Like I was like, who is real, who's not? Like who's been abducted or who's under the spell of whatever this is. Like it's been
Yeah.
described. Hearing the description of what this may be was just kind of terrifying. Just and there was a point where somebody might be, somebody might not be, and then you see something happen right in front of them, in front of you as a viewer.
Right.
I think it was just. I kind of wish it was shorter. I mean, just because.
And it's barely 80 minutes.
Yeah, I just wish it was kind of shorter in that way, just because the tension was really heavy when it picked up, but there were felt like some slow parts. Like I could have watched a friendship movie with just the two of them. Like I really liked the dynamic that the two stars had. Like I kind of loved it. I thought they were really great, and just the I guess the tension that existed, why they weren't friends, what
Right.
broke them up, and all that stuff. I could have watched just a movie about that, and then that plopped in this interesting sort of twist, made it even more interesting. But yeah, something about the middle of it felt like it kind of dwindled for too long. I feel like I wasn't quite sure what was going on. Felt like too much like just them having fun. So that when the tension came, I was just like, I want to see more fun. And I maybe that's a good thing because there were two good actors that felt kind of like I'd like to hang out with them. But then you find out how crazy one of them is. I don't know. That I threw that aside. Overall, I did like it. I don't know if I'll watch it again in that way, but it felt like an experience. Like I'm glad that I watched it. I'm glad I watched it, and it feels like I could watch something else, another offering from this director, from this writer, that could, something a little more like uh fleshed out, something a little more fleshed out. Yeah. But overall, I dug it. I really did dig it.
What about you, John?
I think, like, I agree with what you said about if it had been shorter. Like, I think this could have sustained like a half-hour anthology
Yeah.
episode or something pretty well. But I started formulating something when I was watching this that I guess one day people will call it the Walker rule. But it's going to be a while before it goes into the annals. But like the idea, the slow burn rule, because I love a slow burn, and so often people talk about a slow burn like it's inherently a bad thing or a good thing,
Yeah.
And I was like, but it's not. It's not like a slow burn can sometimes be like evidence of someone whose style is so carefully calibrated that they know exactly how to get you where you need to be at the moment they want you to be in that. And so you see some slow burns and you're like, oh my God, that was such a great slow burn. And I was like, why do some of them work that well and then other ones feel like this one, like I was just watching a slow burn, and I think it is the rule of the slow burn is if all you're watching is the slow burn, then it feels drawn out.
Yeah. It does.
But if you're watching a movie, because this is where I don't quite align with you, Ronald. I didn't really buy their friendship, and all their antics as friends felt to me like two actors who feel awkward doing the stuff that the script and the director is asking them to do, like fighting under the blankets. I mean, I understand it was meant to be like nostalgic and a little silly, but it did seem to me like I never quite got a grasp on any reality. Like I didn't find any of the performances so convincing that I felt like I was in a reality. Even when he was like at the office flirting with that woman that he liked, it was like, am I supposed to be thinking he's acting inappropriately? Am I supposed to think they have chemistry? Am I supposed to think he's funny?
That was
am I
weird.
supposed to
Yeah,
am I supposed to think
was
he's
weird.
not funny? Am I supposed to think she's into him? Am I supposed to think she's totally not into him? It just felt like it was so awkward. It got to the end, that moment you mentioned, Ronald, where it's like something's happening in front of him, and really the first time we're seeing something that looks like it might be something,
Yeah.
but I was like, I don't know that anything could happen at this point in this movie that I would trust. And I don't mean like I was fearful of the movie. I just mean I knew it was a short movie. I knew it was getting close to the end, and I was like, oh, so I don't guess I'm ever going to fully satisfy myself of what was real and what was happening in this, you know?
Wow.
I think there is that kind of compelling idea of the old friend who pops up and they seem to need a little help, and then you help them out. Um, as I'm describing it, I'm realizing it's the plot of Creed 3. The old friend who's hit hard times shows up, and you're like, well, you know what? Maybe I'll help this guy out, but maybe he's bad news. No, it was that part of it was kind of interesting, and I think there was some tension in the notion of just what's he gonna do. He thinks that some people are not really people, and that at a certain time on a certain day, he's called upon to like that's where it was vague too. I was like, is he trying to decide if his friend is a person or not, or is he there because he thinks his friend is not a person and he's supposed to kill him? I wasn't really clear, but like first thing he does, which was maybe the most interesting thing in the whole movie to me, is first thing he does is go down to the basement. The friend goes out of the bathroom. He goes down to the basement. He tapes a knife under the table.
On the table, yeah.
At that moment, I was like, "Oh my God, what is this movie?" Because then I started thinking, like, a friend is in your house and they do that. And he tests like, how quick can I grab it? You know, that was really like, ooh, that's like,
I love that.
But that's in a genuine chill down my spine. I don't think that there's anything else after that that made me feel quite so like locked into the kind of mixture of, oh, this is total mundane thing. A friend needs a place to stay, and he's it reminds me of that movie The Kill List. I don't know if you saw that, but in that there's like people putting like hidden talismans behind the mirror in someone's house that means they're marked for death or they're marked as safe or whatever.
Right.
So I think that little things like that, that invasion kind of sense of a friend and when is a friend not a friend, you know, I think there's some interesting stuff there, but I think that there wasn't enough going on outside of the waiting to see what was going on to make me feel like I was in the hands of the good kind of slow burn. It was more like, okay, this is like, you know, I feel it's a low budget indie feature, written, directed, produced by one person. They use the cast that you said, Ronald, a very small cast. You know, that can be a very artful choice, and I do think there's places in this movie where it seems like that closed off insular quality is really like, you know, what they're doing on purpose and doing it cleverly because of the means that they have. But I found that there were times where it's like a little bit more polished, like there's almost no music, or sound design or anything that might normally make a movie like this really effective. So to me, it felt like it was just a little bit shy of something that really stood out to me. But I feel kind of like when you say, are you glad you watched it? I'm always glad to check out this kind of indie scrappy movie, and especially one, you know, that comes with like the Mike Flanagan recommendation. I can see how Mike Flanagan would dig this material because it does have that. I mean, with a little bit more character and I don't know, a little bit more pop in those performances. I do think it's the kind of thing that we like in Mike Flanagan, which is what you said, Ronald. There's a certain kind of psychological realism in the midst of, you know, supernatural stuff. So. It was fun, and having had the name on my radar and knowing that it was just like one of those movies that was floating around out there, I'm always glad to tick something off the list. But I did find myself thinking, okay, at 80 minutes, it felt drawn out at 80 minutes, which is you know,
that was like the main thing I came away thinking too, was that it did feel like it's probably like, and it's not even so much that there's not enough there to go that long, but it's more so like that what's there maybe was better suited, you know, for what John's describing, or like, you know, an anthology episode of some show or something. I think the main thing that really was kind of I took away was just like the paranoia and like that question of what's real, what's not. The psychological stuff I felt like really worked. You know, to kind of like you know, whether it's, I guess, schizophrenia, like, you know, just the kind of reality bend of what that experience might be like as like someone looking in and someone looking out, and like the scenes where like you see him alone like with the girl from work and like she's like the demon, you know, what those things switches, like those perspective shifts, I feel like when he's the one we're following versus the friend that takes him in, you know, I think that stuff works pretty well in the movie to kind of keep us focused on like really it's like the perspective of this of the guy, you know, I can't remember his name, the friend he brings in, the guy who's having the visions and hearing the voices. But yeah, like things that are just like creepy, like, you know, getting a phone call on a phone that doesn't work, you know, like, you know, and hearing voices and stuff like that, that all I thought worked really well, especially again, you guys have kind of hit it already, but for a small film like this, a small cast, a small budget, that stuff all is really impressive to me. Like just as somebody to get that kind of thing made is just so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like it would be interesting. I would be interested to see what this looks like as a little bit more of a contained episode or a short or something like that.
Steve, but you bring up an interesting point. I do wonder if the experiment of it would have been more successful if you never left the guy's perspective.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
as suffocating as that might seem, and as much as you would definitely need to come up with some more material to bring into the movie to make a movie out of that, I do think that the fact that there is that tension release of cutting away to the friend,
Yeah.
and then cutting back, it almost kind of seems to answer the question in a weird way of like, well, if the friend were an alien pretending to be a person or a monster pretending to be a person, why would he be like motivating himself before work and having these phrases? I don't know. It's like, but maybe there is something there. It's just, it feels like it gave us a hint of more story that wasn't really connected to the main story.
Right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough of a thing to say, oh, because here's another way that could have gone, which is he gets involved in his friend's life so much that he's second guessing his plan to possibly kill or torture this friend because the friend has gotten him a job and all this stuff is working out for him, and now he's like, oh, now there's a reason why I might not want to blow this up by acting crazy around these people,
right?
And it's like, but it didn't want to do that. I mean, again, it wasn't trying to do that. I'm not saying it tried and failed to do that, but I'm just suggesting that's the kind of thing that in a movie that was keeping me going more might have had that. But you're right, Steve, you get a hint of it. The scene with the woman that the friend likes at work, when he takes her down to the basement, that's another one of those. That's the next probably best like unsettling thing in the movie is just you see on her face a fairly believable way of reacting to somebody you just met at like a friend's house for dinner, and then they're like, here, look, come down to the basement, and they start talking absolute crazy shit with you.
Like a switch goes off as soon as one level
like
down.
Like that scene had some juice. I really do think you're right that there was something there.
Yeah.
It feels like a bunch of really good ideas. Like, I don't know. It feels like the whole movie was shot differently than the camera that was used in the beginning. That bedroom shot was frightening. I've never seen anything like it before. The whole like somebody, you looking at the back of somebody that you care for, and then they turn towards you and you can't see their face.
Yeah,
but the shape of their face is different. The the shape of their face is a little different than you remember. It's a little like wider, and it has flat parts where it shouldn't have flat parts. That's terrifying. And I feel like somebody wrote that part and the knife part and the conversation part in the basement. And those are good fucking scenes. And we're like, how do we piece these things together? Because I feel like the idea of these people look like people but aren't is such a good idea that feels like, and I had a lot of things that didn't pay off. Like, did he kill his girlfriend? I kind of want to know I wanted to know if he killed his girlfriend. I kind of want to know if, it's all that stuff but I'm also really happy that this person got something finished. And we all know making a song, making a film, making anything fucking from start to finish is insane.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's impressive that
it's so impressive. Yeah.
And then that could like get on the radar.
Yeah.
Kind of break through in the ways that it had. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a cool little movie. I mean, it made me, I kind of went into it like, I guess like the demonic piece of it. I guess I was like thinking more like Body Snatchers kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was an interesting turn a bit. But and it kind of made me think about that. Like, I really want to see like a good Body Snatcher movie. Like something. I mean, it could be one that I've already seen, but I mean, like something new, something exciting. I don't know. Yeah, that's just a random thought. Like, I kind of went in with maybe an expectation that it would be a little more in that vein.
Yeah. I think I went in with the expectation in a strange way. I'm kind of glad it wasn't like torture porn, but I did feel slightly anticlimactic about, or I felt like the ending was a little anticlimactic compared to what I thought was going to happen, which is like at least someone was going to get like a nail shot into their face, and like
Right.
I didn't want to see that so much, but I thought maybe the tension, and again in a movie that had more of the friend drama, this you would have been looking for maybe the tension between the two friends to blow up, but the
Right.
tension between them was kind of off and on throughout the movie. In some ways it was a realistic depiction of old buddies, but it was also a little hard for me to peg their chemistry because I never quite felt like, am I supposed to think they're getting along or that they're actually friends? Or is this literally like one kind of nice guy who's really trying to be accommodating,
Yeah.
even though he's a little bit of a douche bro. And then like his friend who's totally insane from the first moment we see him and like very quiet and shifty. I don't know. It was hard for me to get a beat on what I was supposed to think of their friendship. But I
Yeah.
think that in those last moments, there is like, that possibility of some real stuff coming out between the two of them. And it's actually kind of unusual the way the one guy kind of just accepts it and says like, I mean, that's almost interesting enough to me to say that could have been presented with more impact. That idea that he's like, oh no, I'll go along with this because I trust you and I want you to know you can trust me.
Right.
Yeah.
There's another movie where that tension there, that emotional, the weirdness of that choice to go along with it would feel like, oh, it is an act of showing this guy that he's got a friend or something like that. But instead, it felt just like, what? like,
Yeah.
like this guy, it made the guy whose house it was seem like, is he joking about everything? The whole time he was like kind of laughing things off. And I kept thinking like, is he the one who's,
Yeah.
who's,
Yeah.
who's mentally ill? Maybe there's some edited scenes where he's like in the bathroom talking in the mirror, and you can tell he believes some weird stuff. But I wonder, what were they trying to draw a comparison between the kind of motivational speak, like because he clearly was recording some woman reading motivational sayings for him to listen to,
Yeah.
and the other guy had the voices in his head that were telling him this crazy stuff. It's almost like the
Yeah.
movie did want to parallel the
That's true.
two voices they were listening to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just want you guys to know that I don't think either one of you are not people. I'll go ahead and say I think you are people.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, man. Because that was fucking crazy.
You notice how Steve didn't react much when
Yeah.
I said I think he's people.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Is that what a person would say? Thank
Uh-oh,
you.
shit. That's Ronald. Sidebar. I don't think Steve's a person.
Let me get my axe out.
I have like some precision screwdrivers handy. Well,
Who's up
we did
next
it.
here?
Oh, it's me. And I had a choice. It was, honestly, I had a really good choice queued up that was going to be one of those, oh, John hasn't seen that. That's crazy. But then this week something happened that changed my mind. And then another thing happened that made me feel even better about this choice.
Oh.
And the first thing is the untimely passing of Val Kilmer.
Rest in peace.
Made me think it'd be good to watch one of these movies I've been talking about with my friends and seeing people talk about, some of those. He's one of those guys who you might think you liked one or two of his movies, but if you keep hearing people talk about it, you go, oh wait, no, he had like 5 or 6 iconic performances, that are
Sure.
memorable for different reasons. And, I know the guy's career was kind of wacky, and he became a bit of a, I don't know, like joke in some ways to people because he was very difficult to work with and couldn't get a lot of projects off the ground. But even in those days, he was popping up in interesting roles. And the stories about him as a man make him seem very interesting indeed, very much like one of his characters. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the trailer for the reboot of Police Squad came out today, or the Naked Gun with Liam Neeson playing Frank Drebin's son. And I thought, oh, you know what? When you take the Venn diagram of Val Kilmer and the Naked Gun folks, and you have a little movie from 1984 called Top Secret, that I think it would be fun to watch for the show. And I don't know that I've ever actually sat down and watched this movie. I believe it was on at like a church lock-in, or it was on HBO, and so it was playing at someone's house and Comedy Central when it was a station that ran old movies all the time. They used to run it all the time, but I don't think I've ever sat down and just watched Top Secret from beginning to end. But it's like peak Zucker it's in that time where they really were the kings of that kind of spoof.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's not a movie that I know certain gags from it. That's another thing they used to do in the early days of Comedy Central or the Comedy Channel. They played clips from comedy movies, almost like it was music videos. They would just play scenes. So I've seen scenes from Top Secret, certain scenes probably hundreds of times, but the actual film I don't think I've seen from beginning to end. So this will be a fun opportunity to pay homage to Val and to hopefully get a few laughs, and also just that kind of spoof world of humor. I think there is a line between certain kinds of comedies, and I'm intrigued at what makes a movie spoof world, rather than say the slightly more grounded world of like.
Right.
To compare it to another wacky comedy like Dumb and Dumber or something, where it's pretty spoof-y, but it doesn't take place in spoof world. I don't know what makes a difference. I think one of the things is that there's not really consequences for things often in a spoof movie. Like a character could be basically beaten up in one scene and then show up the next scene looking fine, kind of thing. But if you do that in a regular comedy, it'll seem like there's no consequences. So I don't know. We'll be it's that. How much do you know about this style of movie, like the airplane movies and stuff like that, Ronald? Are you familiar with that style of comedy?
Yeah, I've watched quite a bit of them. This is one that I haven't watched, and I think some of it has to do with. I think that I thought that what was the newer one that was like with same sort of thing like Hot Shots.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2.
Part deux.
So I think that I was kind of into those.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I ever knew about Top Secret until like pretty recently, honestly. Yeah, so I just didn't see it.
But I mean, I think what happened in the late '90s into the 2000s is you got all those really quickie, low budget spoof movies that are in
Yeah.
this formula, like Not Another Teen Movie and Not Another Superhero Movie or whatever.
Mm.
And those kind of tarnished in some ways. I'm sure those movies, gag for gag, they might have funny scenes in them, you know,
Yeah.
and funny performances. Scary Movie is another series that definitely took the baton of this kind of
Yeah,
style
yeah.
of comedy. So
Which is
but
coming
it-
back too.
yeah, but there's when I was growing up, there was very little that I thought was funnier than particularly Leslie Nielsen as Frank
Yes.
Drebin, in those movies. And so yeah, there's always been a spot in my heart for this kind of pure just gag comedy movie. So, and it's also fun to see Val Kilmer at a point early in his career where he was doing a lot of comedy at that point. So he was known to be sort of super sexy, but also to be funny. And I have to say, awkward teenage John thought that was very threatening.
Could be both.
What right does he have to be as beautiful as the most beautiful woman, and yet also very
fun.
funny, and looks good with his shirt off.
Bastard.
I know.
The doc that they put out a couple years ago about him was great. I don't know if either of you watched that.
Oh, I've watched it several times.
Yeah, that was
Val.
wow. Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah,
I need to finally watch it. I'll watch it. I'll
Um,
watch it before next week.
make sure you have a Kleenex very close to you.
You got choked up just saying it.
Yeah.
Or something. It was a special moment in your life that we just got to witness.
Make sure.
He's writing in his diary later. I'll never forget the moment when I recommended that John make sure he has a Kleenex on hand.
I
was a-
teared up
that was a
thinking
big
about
moment.
tearing up.
Thinking about preventing John from tearing up without a Kleenex handy. But I have to say, lately there's almost no accounting for what will make me tear
Yeah,
up. So I
same.
should basically just have like an attachment with a Kleenex box in it on my person at all
Man.
times.
Something made me so emotional that I don't know why. Jimmy Fallon had Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan on, and for some reason, like Ryan Coogler doesn't do a lot of press,
Yeah.
and Jimmy Fallon's like naming all the films he's been in, and he's like pumping them up, and you can see that Michael B. Jordan's like really proud of his friend, and Ryan Coogler's just kind of shrinking. He's like kind of embarrassed. And, and Jimmy's just so fucking like not like the weird Jimmy energy where he's like not, he just kind of puts on sometimes. It's like genuine, like you made fucking several incredible films.
Sure.
And you need to celebrate it. And it was like something about the way they were all kind of propping each other up and he thanked
awesome.
them. It's just made me super emotional. I was like, man, I love Jimmy for that.
No, I mean, you sort of
That's good.
forget that his enthusiasm, like, which I think
Sure.
people see as like he's like a puppy dog with no, you know, that's all. That's his one setting. But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can tell sometimes that he's sincerely happy to have someone on the show.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
he's a weird showbiz animal though. That Jimmy Fallon. You know, it's
he
an interesting
is.
thing to go from being a sketch performer
Yeah,
to doing what he's doing.
it's worth checking out. It's like a 10-minute interview.
Cool.
Good energy, but it made me kind of like emotional for some reason.
I like Ryan Coogler a lot, and I agree. It is interesting. It is noteworthy that he doesn't do a lot of interviews or
Oh
press, you
yeah, for
know.
sure, man.
But he's busy. He's off making something.
So busy.
That's my impression. Can't wait to see
Yeah.
Sinners.
I cannot wait. I hope that we get press access. I'm so fucking excited about that movie. So excited. So excited. It comes out this month, right? 18th or something like that.
Yeah, this month for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
All those dates are happening now. We're getting to that part of the year where all the shit that you knew was coming is coming. Like Andor's just around the corner. Andor season 2. Can't wait for that.
That extended Superman.
Oh, so good.
I wasn't ready. I thought I was.
You were ready.
I just love how like classic sci-fi early Superman kind of
Yes.
like the look and feel of the if people don't know what we're talking about today, I think today James Gunn released
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's basically the same trailer we saw before, but now the crypto scene at the beginning is like a 3-minute scene or something.
Yeah.
But you just get a feel for the way the show is treating the fantasy elements, and I just thought it looked really good, and the tone was really good, and all the extra dog behavior that you get, where Crypto jumps around on him when he shows up, like
Yeah.
he's
And you can hear
so
the
clearly
crunch of his bones. It's like,
he's just so clearly near death, but I mean that is what any one of our dogs would do
Yeah.
if you called them and you were laying on the ground. They'd be like, "Oh, is it time to play?" And that's so endearing, but also funny. And you know, James Gunn is going to get some mileage at some point out of making us worry about that damn dog.
Oh,
And I'm like,
man.
James Gunn, don't you do it?
What villain is going to punch that dog against the wall?
I know the worst villain in the world. That's who.
Oh
I mean,
my
if he,
God.
he was like, I don't know if people are going to love this dog. What can we do? And then someone said, give it a crooked ear.
Yeah.
One crooked ear.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's when the heart melts.
Tilt his head a little bit with that crooked ear.
I just love how he runs in and just like is still beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, that's the
He's-
best part.
He's like
No, the
so
way he-
annoyed by him.
Right, he jumps up on him like 3
Here,
or 4
take
times.
my cape, pull me.
Yeah.
God, can't you see what's happening?
That looks
That's
so
exciting.
good.
Looks good.
Yeah.
So what next, Ronald, you want to talk about your physical stuff?
Yes.
Let's get physical.
All right. I first want to thank Lionsgate for supplying this 4K. Supplying.
Yeah.
Supplying like are we gonna say like grease?
No, I was saying it like supplying.
Supplying like line at the end of it. That's what-
Supplying's-gate. That sounds like something where somebody steals or
Some
something.
Right, no, it's
controversy.
Yeah.
right. It's a political scandal.
You mean Supply-gate? Supplying-gate? But yeah, I really want to thank Lionsgate for supplying.
I'm sorry.
Man.
Just say providing. Get us out of this hole.
Say
Say
giving
providing.
us or giving me, giving the pod.
Sending us.
I really want to thank Lionsgate for providing
Yes.
this 4K. I'm gonna have to put this up
blur it
another
out.
way. Yes,
There
blur
you
it out. Flight Risk, directed by Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson directed this, and I guess I'm gonna break it down into 5 categories: video quality, audio quality, packaging, bonus features, and the movie itself. All right. So first, video quality, 4K transfer. I mean, it just is what it is. It's crispy, filmed in digital. It is very sharp. There's a lot of studio. I mean, it's very obvious that this was filmed in a studio. Like it's super. I don't know. There's a lot of green.
But sorry.
What?
But more importantly, it was filmed.
Yeah.
It was filmed.
What did I say? It wasn't filmed?
You did. You're like, it's 4K. It was filmed.
Yeah, it was filmed.
They got the checkbox like, is it 4K? Yes. Did we film it? Yes.
But this isn't one of those movies, Ronald, where they try to sneak it past you that some parts are 3.9K or 3.7K. This isn't one of those.
Yeah. This is one of those.
4K
all digital. All
wall
digital.
to wall 4K.
This is the goods.
Balls to the wall. It's clean transfer. Looks really good. Audio is Atmos though, man. It sounds fucking incredible, especially towards the end. You're in a cockpit, listening to cockpit sounds. Man, this is fucking going terrible. I have no focus right now for some reason. No fucking focus. I'm gonna record this separately.
This went very well, guys. This is why we get the good stuff right here.
You know what it is though? It's
produce.
It's so late. I'm gonna do a separate recording for this.
So John's just cutting this all out.
I don't want to cut out the funniest segment we've ever done.
Yeah, you can't cut that.
I'm for sure keeping this. I'm keeping this in the video segment for sure.
No, I just got the giggles because we don't normally do this kind of tech review.
Yeah, I mean, look,
but it's true. It's worth saying.
You got to think, man. You got to think. We're getting more access.
John's comment. We don't normally do this. Ronald's response. We turned into a robot. Shorted out.
We don't. You're right, John. But as we do more stuff, we get more access. That's the cool part about it. But yeah, thank you, Lionsgate.
So here we go. Take 2. Now do the real one for Lionsgate.
All right. Video quality, sharp. Basic movie uses a lot of green screen. But it looks pretty good. Audio quality is good as well. It's an Atmos track that sounds really good. You're in a cockpit of a plane, so it sounds good. Towards the end, there's a really what they call reference quality scene where the plane is trying to land. It sounds incredible.
Wow.
But overall, the movie sounds good. The packaging's good. It has a slip cover and comes with a 4K and Blu-ray, which is really rare these days. They're starting to just supply 4Ks or the Blu-ray, so you have to buy them separately.
Wow.
So it comes with both. The problem seems to be with the special features. There's absolutely no special features besides a very short making of.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing still? Are there a lot of special features still?
Yeah. Like,
there are. Okay.
I'll give you an example, man. Wicked fucking had, maybe because it's Wicked, but there's a couple, man. Like, especially if you wind up buying, like, they're a little more special, but like Criterion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The problem is they're charging just as much for those as like a discounted Criterion, like $30-$40 for a 4K, and then you get nothing on it.
Right.
So that's kind of a pain, man. I'd say that was a little bit of a missed opportunity. Because I was interested to know why Mark Wahlberg shaved his head for this movie.
As was I. Yeah.
It's just the movie itself it felt like a 90s throwback. Like it was like a fun movie that just, I don't know, it's pretty well paced. I enjoyed it. It was Michelle Dockery, Topher Grace, and Mark Wahlberg just kind of in a plane dealing with Topher Grace's character embezzles some money and has to snitch on a mob boss, and a pilot has to fly him. He gets caught overseas. So a pilot has to fly him from where they are in Switzerland to American sort of territory, or what do they call it? Like a
consulate?
Consulate sort of deal. And when they get in the plane, they realize that the pilot actually isn't the person that's supposed to be on the plane. It's Mark Wahlberg who killed the person that was supposed to be on the pilot.
But he's a pilot as well.
But he's a pilot as well. He's doing this weird country accent.
It's a very niche career choice that you're a pilot, and an assassin.
And you're not very good at Southern accents. And
I
it's
don't
very
believe it.
obviously that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And then when he gets found out, he's like, I got a Boston accent. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm going to kill you all. It's really good in that way, the way that Mark Wahlberg kind of plays that up.
Right.
But it's fun, man. Like, I could tell that Mel took this on because it legitimately feels like a 90s movie. Like, it feels like this would have been a banger in like 92, 93. This would be like top of the charts. It would be like, it has all those elements. It's a one room movie. Like,
I was going to ask that. Is it a confined
Yeah.
narrative like that? That's interesting. I mean, it's like, Mel Gibson is an extremely, I mean, outside of being one of the ambassadors to Hollywood, who
Okay,
has,
I just want to set the expectation. Ronald refers to him as Mel because he's kind of like a part
right.
of the
Yeah, for
studio.
sure.
we have a close personal relationship with him.
I would not recommend going up to him and just calling him Mel. It doesn't earn that.
right.
Just,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put that out.
You call him Mel, something like that. Melly
Call him
Mel.
Mel Yellow is actually what I call him.
Yellow.
Mellow Yellow Gibbs.
Because he is so mellow.
He's
Really, he's one of the most
totes mellow.
one of the most chill dudes that can hang that you've ever met. No, but his movies always do have a certain kind of like, there's something kind of bold or like, all out about them. Like, I think that like
sure.
Apocalypto was like a crazy violent action movie, even though it was a historical thing. And then of course, Passion of the Christ, was brutally violent in addition to being a religious epic. So I think there is something about knowing this is, it's a single setting kind of film, and it's almost, there's a throwback quality to that. Maybe to the 90s, but even to something, this seems like something from the 50s or the 60s or something like that, like like an old Alfred Hitchcock movie or something. So
Yeah, for sure.
as opposed to a new Alfred Hitchcock movie.
I could see a posthumous release.
Yeah, as opposed to one of those new ones. I'm glad I said old. But I mean, there is like a classic tradition in that sense. And I do think Mel Gibson is a guy who, for all that we think about him, when he directs a movie, there's usually something cinematic about it or something that he's trying to do. But I think it's kind of buried that he directed this, isn't it? Like, I don't remember seeing that mentioned.
I didn't hear anything about this. I mean,
for obvious reasons, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, this feels like one of those movies that once it lands on Netflix, it's going to be one of those ones that people talk about because it's unique. I don't see very many movies that take place in one space the way that this does.
Right.
You don't have to be a genius to know that things are going to unfold the way that they do. It's a little predictable, but it still packs a punch and it sounds really good, looks sharp enough. It's a kind of a paint by numbers movie that I would suggest if you're bored on a day that you just want to see something simple. You don't have to overwork your brain too much.
Yeah.
It's good. It was solid. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Cool.
Yeah. So I say go ahead and purchase this thing. It's retails right now for like $25 on Amazon. It's worth getting, especially if you want a reference quality scene. I know you physical media collectors look for reference quality scenes. The plane crash scene is insanely good. It just sounds like everything is moving around in your room. It's a cool little scene, and just 3 actors in it primarily. There's some voices in it, but yeah, primarily 3 actors. So yeah, thank you, Lionsgate. And remember, put your comments in the comment section. Who said what, and who approved this? Who likes this thing? Who am I doing?
Let me remind Ronald what the actual contest is.
Yeah, please.
He lost it. He lost the contest. You will not win. You will not win that Blu-ray 4K. The term that we spoke of at the top of the show about the successive numbers, like 444, this episode number. There's 2 ways to name it. Each John and I called it one way or the other, and you got to just give one of those names and say who said it. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. So what else have we been watching? What's been going on?
I might tack on a little Let's Get Physical, because I've read the Stephen King anthology of 4 novellas, If It Bleeds, that contains the life of Chuck. The Life of Chuck is the name of the story and the name of the upcoming Mike Flanagan film. Did you get a chance to listen to the audiobook, Ronald?
I'm halfway through it. I listened to the first story, which was crazy creepy, and I'm halfway through The Life of Chuck, and it is not what I was expecting at
No, I
all.
was going to say it's interesting how I will say this. I hope I'm not spoiling anything in the story. I'm not going to say anything about what happens in it,
Okay.
but it's interesting how uncreepy that story is. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a it's we mentioned before that in the trailer for Life of Chuck, they mention like the non-supernatural, non-horror kind of
Yeah.
Stephen King's as like the other ones, and it's like that's a very important thing because this book there's eerie things about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a story that the short story is like it's a very short novella, about 70 pages. There's 3 chapters. One of them is very kind of conceptual and dreamlike in a way. One of them is a flashback that adds context to that, and then another of the chapters is a sort of a combination of a flashback with a kind of supernatural angle, like a ghost kind of thing, not like a scary sort of thing, but like messages from beyond or when someone's gone. And anyway, it's like it's interesting. There's 3 different chapters that I can totally see. Maybe you can already see this from what you've heard, Ronald, but I can totally see Mike Flanagan having a field day with this material because it's very sentimental and it's very much about like what happens when you're dying or what's it like to look back on your life when you're dying, and which is very much in the wheelhouse of Mike Flanagan. Like I would say a lot of this story reminds me of the stuff. The reason Dr. Sleep is called Dr. Sleep is because of the section where Ewan McGregor's character is like Danny Torrance is hanging around, sort of assisting people that are dying with that transition into the afterlife. Like the tone of The Life of Chuck is very much in that kind of feeling about like
sure.
you're gonna get a sense of someone's life, you're gonna get a sense of key moments from a life and how they affected things, and you're gonna get a sense of like how their memory processes those things as they might be crossing over. It's very nonlinear. It's very very sweet and sad, and I don't know. Stephen King is an interesting writer because there's times where he shows his age and he's a little corny, but when he goes for something human and emotional heft, it's like he's done it so many times. He knows how to do it. He knows how to hit those buttons and describe those things that make you feel like, okay, I totally get the kind of relationship he's talking about here and the kind of person, because he writes so much about the inner lives of his characters, sometimes almost too much. But I think I almost can't wait to see what this movie is. I think it's going to be a much more heartwarming film than you would expect from just hearing Mike Flanagan is doing a Stephen King story as a movie. That sounds much creepier and much more disturbing than I think what people are going to get from this movie. I really think this is going to be a tearjerker. And the only question I have is it going to hit that pedal too hard, or is it going to leave you any room, you know what I mean, to cry your own tears, or is the movie going to just squeeze them out of you?
Yeah. Now that I know who Chuck is and Marty and all these, like, it's going to be really interesting. I think that, this is not what I was expecting. But the setting is, though, like, the setting feels a little too close to home, honestly. And I'm wondering how they're going to play that up a little bit, or how Mike Flanagan's even going to portray the setting of the entire.
Like, is he going to make it seem like a heightened reality, or is he going to make it seem like just our reality? Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm super interested in that. And
it's Tom Hiddleston too, which is so easy to picture him nailing, like whatever the emotional needs of this story are. I think Tom Hiddleston is fully capable of it. So, anyway, I was gonna ask you to check it out too, Steve, because I realized we could do that. We could have a little book corner if there's ever a movie we know we're all gonna check out. But Ronald had mentioned he was doing the audiobook. So
I'm like almost done it. It is messing with me a little bit because I'm like, this is not what I was expecting. Mike Flanagan, you're gonna.
I kind of don't want to know what it's about.
Oh, you're just gonna want to see it.
I kind of don't want to. I mean, I don't know anything about it. And
okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I kind of just wanted to just kind of hit me.
Yeah. I don't even know why they told us it was a Stephen King. Like, I kind of wish they didn't even say that part.
Well, I mean,
that's a marketing thing.
That's a marketing.
Yeah.
That's like a name. Yeah.
It sets a standard for you in your head, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more.
But I mean, I think that's why it's crucial that they say, when they say Stephen King on the trailer, it says
Shawshank.
author of Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, and Stand by Me or whatever. Yeah, it's like these are they're trying to not imply this is The Shining, and
there's a brand of Stephen King
Maximum
that
Overdrive
also is very popular and works.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's the yawn that tells us.
Yeah.
We've reached possibly the end of an episode. Is there anything else people have watched that they'd like to talk about before we? This will be a nice brisk one, right? Like, this is short by our recent standards.
Yeah, no, this is good. Yeah, I mean, again, just watching the wrapping up the pit ends next week. Great. Again, can't sing the praises loud enough. I love the show. Caught up on the studio, absolutely loving it.
All the way caught up? Like, did you watch our, because we have access?
Oh, no. I'm watching it as it airs.
I think I'm going to do that too.
I get burned too hard on those ones where we don't have, like, some of the ones where we don't have the final episode, because I'll watch it all the way up and then I have to wait like 2 months to see how it ends.
Yeah. I had a point where I couldn't. I was like, I just want to watch more of that. Like, we saw it and it talked about it in advance, and then when a couple of weeks went by and it actually hit. And so people were talking, like last weekend, people were talking about the show, and everyone was talking so much about it. I was like, I just got to watch more of it. And so I sat down and I tore through those screeners, but I did not. I watched like the 3rd through the 8th or something. But yeah, it's just so good. It's like each episode does its own little thing and chisels off its own little piece of the story of like how a movie gets made. There's the one about casting. Did you watch that one, Ronald? Where they go through all the racial implications of the cast and who's going to play which character. Oh my God. It is such a good episode. I mean, it gets into all of those, like someone walks in and says, "Oh no, you can't cast them as that because in the Asian community," like someone realizes all the problems of trying to put together a multicultural cast. Yeah. It was so funny, and also there's just a moment where it's like Baron Holtz and Seth Rogen and Catherine Hahn, and they're realizing the three of us can't be having this conversation. It's just but it's like full of the humor that, I mean, it reminds me of the way we talk about the way Hollywood works. There's a little bit of that humor that's almost absurdist in this thing, but then there's this other side of it, which is like such affection for the movies. And I think Seth Rogen, I mean, you could feel a lot of his experience in the world of making movies coming to bear on this project. I really wonder how much of what we're seeing is like a thinly veiled version of something that we've seen.
I think a lot of it. Yeah. I mean, everything's been talking about on like the promotional tour for it. There's like a lot of antidotes to, like, or anecdotes that he's like saying like, oh yeah, this kind of came from this story with the Monopoly pitch from Ridley Scott, or like,
right. Ridley Scott pitched on a Monopoly movie. That's hilarious and crazy.
And things like that that I'm sure kind of spoke to a lot of these episodes. But yeah, honestly, we've talked about it before, and I feel this very strongly. Like, he's one of my favorite entertainers.
He's great.
Like he's so like him and Goldberg. Like, mostly anything they touch. I don't know that there actually is something that they've done that I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
All their productions that they do under their banner, and even just Seth in general. Like, I just love him as an actor, as a comedian, an entertainer, just overall. But yeah, everything that he's involved in with The Boys and Invincible and the movies that they put out, this series, the series that he had with him and Rose Byrne on Apple that I've already forgotten the name of.
Oh, good.
Loved it. Like all these things.
Platonic?
That's it. Yeah, Platonic. I love Seth Rogen, man. Like, I'm all about watching whatever he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, loving that.
I just wanted to suggest one thing before we leave. The Bondsman on Amazon is a show that stars Kevin Bacon. Yeah. Kevin Bacon.
I didn't realize it was a show. I thought it was
I thought it was a movie too.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
Interesting.
So, he's murdered by a bounty hunter, and is kind of in this in between sort of space, and gets hired by a company that has like a mystical element to it to kill demons. To like capture.
I have no clue what you're talking about. That, like, the little bit of marketing that I saw, nothing you just said, like, I would have never thought, one, it's a show.
Yeah.
Two, he got killed. and there's demons.
There's demons.
It's basically it's Constantine or something. Like
that's why. That's
why. Is that a failure of marketing?
No, I think you're supposed to come in thinking it's like a regular thing and then watch it and then.
And admittedly, I didn't watch everything that they put out for it, but I know I saw at least like one little teaser or like a little promo spot for it. And I don't know unless I'm just completely blind and missed it, which is also possible.
You're not.
And I'm just like, what is this? Because what you just said blew my mind. I was like, I'm not even thinking of the same show.
It's a banger. It's one of
those. Steve didn't even know demons were real.
Banger.
Yeah.
Listen to the sound of my voice. It is a banger. It's like one of those.
Like shows. I'm in now. It just kind of washed over me, and I was like,
the beginning of what's the vampire movie with Tarantino and
Dusk Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn. It feels like Dusk Till Dawn before an hour or half an hour. It's half an hour. That's another thing. They're short episodes.
Oh, so wow. Well, you just sold me on it.
You get the action and then you're done. Then you're like, that's okay, awesome. I can watch another episode.
Kind of like the Evil Dead series.
I was about to say, it sounds like Ash versus Evil Dead, which was also like a show that you would have thought would have been an hour,
right?
But that was a half hour.
Dusk Till Dawn meets Evil Dead. It feels very like a combination of the two of those.
That should have been the marketing.
I'm remembering Bruce Campbell when people asked him like, this is like a cable prestige show, and why is it not an hour? He basically said that like they didn't want to make it an hour because nobody needs like long scenes of him looking out a window. But it was true that like if you were to make that into an hour-long show, that's what you would have added. You would have just added some of that prestige TV padding that sometimes is great.
Yeah,
we love it. It's great pacing and mood setting, but it is true that if it's very Sam Raimi to say we don't need that shit.
Yeah, man.
But no, the Bondsman. I had no idea it was a half-hour show. That
Blumhouse TV show. It's.
Oh, it is Blumhouse. What network is it on?
Amazon Prime.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is a very dry name.
Being like, what the fuck is this show? Like it's
the name. The Bondsman doesn't make you think supernatural.
At all. So the devil hired him to kill demons that have kind of escaped.
Ah.
Yeah, the devil himself. It's a cool plot, and
so it's propaganda,
for sure, and devil baganda. That's a thing.
I love that word.
It's God baganda.
Baganda. I love that "buh" in there. That "buh," not a devil paganda. That's a very specific type of aganda. It's a devil buh. If you get that B in there, you guys are fucked.
I needed something to connect the two parts, and Bud just felt like the right.
I'm not saying you went with the wrong consonant. I'm thinking it's the right one. It's just intense.
We're saying it should be propaganda. That sounds better than propaganda.
Oh my God.
Propaganda is if it's probably propaganda.
You know what propaganda is? It's a problem. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, honestly, that just sold me on wanting to watch that show. So
yeah,
I think it's good that you mentioned it because I mean, people may not have even heard of it, but I mean, and I had seen it pass my eyes a few times online, and even I think like my Roku interface was promoting it, and I was like,
okay,
I don't know what that is anymore. Now I do. So
it is a nuts show. Nuts.
I dig it.
Anybody got any White Lotus predictions?
I need to catch
craziness. I don't know. Craziness ensues. To quote Ronald, craziness ensues or chaos ensues is his actual quote.
Yeah.
I think somebody's gonna die, Steve.
Oh,
you might be right. You might have a lead on something there, John. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to watch that finale. The last episode of Gemstones was great. God damn, was it funny? Oh my God. Oh my God, Edie and
you were 69.
Okay, so I watched that show. Every season there's like a villain, and I was like wondering, like, are they the villains this season? But are the Gemstone kids the villains because they've been just terrible this year?
Right.
I know who the villain is. And if you pay close attention, he is fucking working them kids, man.
Yeah,
he's a fucking villain.
You don't cast a certain person.
Oh, you don't cast this guy unless he's a villain. I think it's so smart the way they're doing it too, because it's not super obvious. Because like he's like saying little things to get him upset.
You're like to his wife.
Yeah, why do you say things like that? Yeah, it's like okay, yeah. But the comment that he made about the big dick,
Big Dick Rick,
big dick
or
Rick.
whatever his name was.
Once he said that, I was like, this is it. He's trying to get them out of this money. That's what the whole plot is. He wants some separation, I think.
Well, I mean, but he's like one of those actors who like, and we're talking about Sean William Scott at this point, I suppose. Unless you guys I'm completely missing what you're saying. But like, he's one of those actors who pops up on the show and instantly you're like, man, the tone, he's perfect for the tone of the
He
show.
is.
Just like when Steve Zahn popped up,
God,
just like when Eric Andre popped up. It's like people show up and it's like you see them rising to the occasion of being on that show and being in that world. And you can totally see the, like Danny McBride. I mean, I'm just assuming when they cast people to be on that show, a little bit of it is Hollywood star, like we're trying to connect big actors to big roles and people are saying, oh, there's a big role on this HBO show, let's put people, but there's also got to be an element of who do we want to work with, who do we want to bring into this little family. And I've just enjoyed seeing Sean William Scott it's just like, oh, he gets to have fun being in these fun scenes with these characters, and you're right though, he is an instigator, he's a little shit stirrer.
Man. And at first I was like, what is he doing? Like he said those little comments, I'm like, what's he talking about? Big Dick Rick and all that. Big Dick Mitch.
Mitch. That was it.
Big Dick Mitch.
Big Dick Rick would have been better, I think.
He would have been. Well,
the clue that he's maybe not so great is his wife. He and like they have a bad relationship and she's kind of a loose cannon. And it's like, if they were trying to make him seem like the more reasonable, lovable guy, he wouldn't seem like he has such a toxic relationship with his wife.
Yeah.
You know who else I worry though is going to maybe turn rogue on us this year because he's getting more bitter by the second? Is BJ.
Beach, man. Poor guy, man. Poor guy.
But he's doing that thing that's fun to see of like, he's the one character who can kind of tell them they suck. Do you know what I mean? Like, so.
For a hot second there, I thought he was going to win the gold at that competition.
I did too.
Fucking became paralyzed. Turned real quick.
Why would they do that to him?
I know. Why would they?
Why would they do that to him?
I think it's because them mistreating him with his injury it's what I was saying a second ago. It's great character stuff that makes them seem terrible because they know the audience loves BJ. You know what I mean? They know that there's a little bit of don't harm a hair on his head. And like he's innocent compared to the other knuckleheads on the show. So I think that they're going to have fun making him suffer because he's kind of the innocent. And I actually felt a little bad for Eli and what's her name, the Megan Mullally character. Like you feel bad for the way that if you look at the seriousness of their story, she seems like she might be, trying to do something, horn in on something. But if you just take their story at face value, I do think that's an interesting idea that the kids would have such a hard time accepting that has the possibility of being sexually active. The way they talk about him is just so terrible.
It is.
They're probably in on it together.
I think so. I think
so.
Yeah, I think
so too.
Together.
I think you're right. When she put the glasses on, I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah,
no.
Like they're just playing into different things. Like he's playing the kids into making Eli more upset. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Again, great show.
At least Keith is doing perfectly reasonable things, like dressing up as
Totes
the dead
normal.
mom. Getting in the bed.
I love the Friday the 13th like element in the show.
Yeah.
That's just like total Danny McBride. Like,
Oh, he totally is. Yeah. He nails it.
It hits me like a ton of bricks that the son's name is Pontius, man. It bothers me so bad. Like, why would you name your kid Pontius? And he's like a bad kid, smokes, curses, talks about.
And he's also like dumb, though. You know what I mean? He's like a bad kid and he's kind of a dumbass. It's just, it's just funny character, after funny character. So
good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up. Movieschmovie.com is the website. You can go there to subscribe to the podcast and any of the audio options, forms of the platforms, whatever you prefer for your podcast. You can also listen to it right there if you want. You also have an option to go to youtube.com/Movie Podcast. Again, that's where you have a chance to win the 4K copy of Flight Risk. If you can recall the terms that we used to describe the number of this episode, what it's called. Two options. We both said two different ones. Who said what? Get a free 4K. Just go there and do that. If you comment on the video there, that'd be great. If you go there, hit subscribe, hit that bell to get notifications for when new episodes come out. And as a reminder, our next required viewing, John's pick is Top Secret. I don't think we mentioned where it's available, but you can Google that really quickly, and watch along with that. Watch that along with us, and we'll talk about it next week on the episode. I'm not sure if someone is actually Googling that to see that.
I am. You can watch it on Pluto, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Google Play. So Pluto for free, and all the other ones for about $4.
There we go. Options. Love to hear it. But yeah, check it out. Watch along. If you've already watched it, you can just listen to us talk about it and say, yeah, I agree, or yeah, you're right. But we'd appreciate you going to any of the options I just mentioned, though, to subscribe to the podcast, leave some comments. Again, you got a chance to get a free 4K if you want to do that. The first giveaway, there it is. Ronald's first Let's Get Physical giveaway, courtesy of Lionsgate.
But by the way, I just was looking very quickly. Any comedy from the '80s that you recommend to watch on the show? You brace yourself, saying, "Is there going to be any awkward?
Is this okay? Yeah,
is this going to be okay?"
Yeah.
I was looking to see, are there even any black actors in this? And I found out that Eddie Tago plays a character named Chocolate Mousse. So we're in for that. Well. Yes, I apologize in advance.
I'm ready.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, you made our day. Thanks.